A girl dreams of a mysterious man repeatedly, and one day meets him in real life. Have you ever had a dream that felt so real, you could almost touch it? A dream that kept coming back, night after night, until it became a part of you. That's what happened to me. My name is Clara, and for years, I lived a double life. By day, I was just a regular girl working at a small bookstore, surrounded by stories. But by night, I was somewhere else entirely. It started subtly, a fleeting image, a faint melody. But soon, it grew into a full-blown recurring dream. In this dream, I was always in a place I'd never been before, a city bathed in a soft golden light, with cobblestone streets that wound their way to a beautiful, old-world square. And in that square, he was always there, waiting for me by a fountain carved with lions. I never saw his face clearly. It was always just out of focus, like a memory you can't quite grasp. But I knew him. I knew the way he stood, with his hands casually in his pockets. I knew the sound of his laugh, a warm, gentle sound that echoed in the square. We would walk for hours, talking about everything and nothing. He told me about his love for astronomy, how he found solace in the constellations. I told him about my passion for old books and the stories they held. It felt more real than my waking life. He was my dream companion, my perfect confidant. I'd wake up with a strange sense of longing, a feeling of loss for someone who didn't even exist. My friends would tell me it was just my imagination running wild, fueled by all the romance novels I read. Clara, he's not real, my best friend Maya would say gently. You need to get out more, meet a real guy. I tried, I went on dates, I met nice people, but no one compared to the man in my dreams. No connection felt as deep, as effortless. It sounds crazy, I know. How can you miss someone you've never met? I started to document the dreams. I sketched the fountain, the winding streets, the cafes with their little round tables. I wrote down snippets of our conversations, the feeling of the warm breeze, the scent of jasmine that always seemed to hang in the air. The dream city became my secret world, a sanctuary I escaped to every night, but it was also a kind of prison, because it made reality feel pale and empty in comparison. One day, I found an old travel book tucked away in a dusty corner of the store. It fell open to a page showing a photograph of a city square. My heart stopped. It was the square from my dream, the fountain with the lion carvings, the cobblestone streets, everything. My hands trembled as I read the caption, Piazza Navona, Rome. It was a real place. A wild, impossible idea took root in my mind. What if he was real too? It was a long shot, a crazy impulse, but I couldn't shake it. I felt a pull, a magnetic force drawing me there. I had saved up some money, planning for a sensible vacation somewhere close, but this felt different. This felt like destiny calling. So, I did the most impulsive thing I've ever done. I booked a one-way ticket to Rome. Maya thought I'd lost my mind. You're flying across the world for a man who might not even exist, she asked, her voice a mix of concern and disbelief. Maybe I had, but for the first time in a long time, I felt a spark of hope, a sense of purpose beyond the pages of a book. The possibility, no matter how slim, was enough. Landing in Rome was a surreal experience. The city felt both foreign and intimately familiar. The air, the light, the sounds, it was all just like in my dream. I found my way to Piazza Navona, my heart pounding with every step. As I walked into the square, I gasped. It was identical. The fountain stood proudly in the center, water cascading over the stone lions. I spent the first few days just wandering, half expecting to see him around every corner. I sat by the fountain for hours, watching the crowds, a sketchbook in my lap, feeling a little foolish. The city was beautiful, but a sense of disappointment began to creep in. Maybe Maya was right. Maybe it was all just a beautiful coincidence, a fantasy my mind had concocted. On my 5th day, I was sitting at a small cafe, nursing an espresso, feeling the last of my hope drain away. I decided this would be my last day of searching. Tomorrow, I would just be a tourist. I pulled out my sketchbook to draw the fountain one last time, a memento of my crazy adventure. As I was sketching, I noticed a man sitting on the edge of the fountain. He was looking up at the sky, a thoughtful expression on his face. There was something about the way he sat, the line of his shoulders, that made my breath catch in my throat. It was familiar. He turned his head slightly, and for the first time, I saw his face clearly. It was him, the same kind eyes, the same gentle smile I had only ever seen in my dreams. The world around me seemed to fade away. It was him. It was really him. I must have been staring, because he looked over and our eyes met. He smiled, a genuine, curious smile. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I felt frozen, unable to move or speak. This couldn't be happening. Then, he stood up and started walking towards my table. Every step he took felt like a lifetime. He stopped in front of me, his gaze dropping to my sketchbook. His eyes widened in recognition. He pointed at my drawing of the fountain. "I know this place," he said, his voice a soft, warm baritone. It was the same voice from my dreams. I dream about it all the time. I looked up at him, my own eyes wide with disbelief. Tears started to well up. "Me too," I whispered, my voice trembling. "I dream about you." A look of pure astonishment crossed his face. "Clara?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. I could only nod, tears now streaming down my face. How did he know my name? "My name is Leo," he said, pulling up a chair and sitting down, never taking his eyes off me. "And for the past few years, every night, I've been dreaming of a girl named Clara, who loves old books and tells me stories in this very square." We sat there for hours, talking, sharing our dreams, our lives, the impossible connection that had brought us together from opposite sides of the world. It turned out he was an astronomer, just as he'd told me in our dreams. He was in Rome for a conference. Everything aligned, every piece of the puzzle fell into place. That day, my dream didn't just come true. Reality became more beautiful and magical than any dream I could have ever imagined. We often talk about how it happened. Was it fate? Destiny? Some cosmic connection we don't understand? We don't have the answers. All we know is that sometimes, the most impossible dreams are the ones that are just waiting for you to be brave enough to chase them. Our story didn't begin the day we met in Rome. It began long before, in a world woven from starlight and wishes, where two souls found each other before they ever even met. Thanks for listening to my story. It still feels like a dream sometimes. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like and subscribe for more tales of the extraordinary.